But listen up. Most men think intimacy is just about the moves. But I'm about to show you the real truth. The things women never forget, the moments that hit deeper than skin. And if you get this wrong, trust me, it ain't just a bad night. It's a scar. Let's break it down. Some men treat intimacy like it's something that has to be finished, not something that has to be felt. They move fast like the moment owes them something, like closeness is a trophy instead of a journey. But real connection don't live in speed, it breathes in presence. When you rush someone, especially a woman, you take away her chance to mentally and emotionally arrive. You might be there physically, but she's still halfway in her thoughts, halfway in her insecurities, halfway wondering if this moment is for both of you or just for you. And that's the silent disconnect nobody teaches us about growing up, because folks are loud about desire, but quiet about emotional pacing. A woman ain't like a light switch that turns on because you decided the moment started. She's more like a sunrise. She warms up gradually, slowly, beautifully, and if you wait for it, you'll witness something breathtaking. When you rush, you might still see daylight, but you miss the colors, the glow, the emotion, the beauty, and the transition. Then so many men don't even realize that the most powerful part of connection is what happens before anything physical even begins. That tension, that laughter, that eye contact, that unspoken "I feel safe right here," that's what makes her present, not just available. And what that to me means, look, think of it like music. Nobody wants to hear a song start at the chorus. You want the intro, the beat, the build up, the emotion that carries you into it. Imagine someone skipping half the song and saying, "Man, that's the best part, right?" You'd feel cheated, not because the chorus isn't good, but because context is what makes the chorus meaningful. It's the same with emotional intimacy. Without the journey, the destination loses value. And when men rush, most don't even realize the silent message behind it. Even if not spoken, it can feel like your experience matters less than mine. What I'm chasing is more important than what you feel. And when a woman senses that even a little bit, she starts to detach from the inside. She may still participate, she may still smile, she may still pretend everything is fine, but emotionally she steps away, 1 inch at a time. And connection dies silently long before anybody notices. There are women walking around carrying the weight of unspoken disappointment because they never felt invited into the moment, only expected to keep up with it. And you'll never hear them say it directly because society teaches them to protect male pride, even at the cost of their own emotional comfort. Some of them learn to fake excitement, not because they wanted to deceive, but because they didn't want to destroy. Some learn to stay quiet, not because they're weak, but because they've met too many men who heard correction as criticism. The truth is, slowing down isn't about technique. It's not about being romantic, experienced, or smooth. It's about being present. It's about seeing her as a human, not the moment. It's about letting her feel like the experience belongs to both of you. When you slow down, you're saying this moment can take its time. Your comfort matters. Your pace matters. Your heart matters. You matter. And when a woman feels considered, appreciated, and involved, she doesn't just participate, she gives. She opens emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And that's where real intimacy begins. Not in the rush, but in the readiness. Man, let's talk about silence and intimacy. That quiet that ain't peaceful. That quiet that ain't loving. That quiet that ain't feel like comfort but feels like distance. Sometimes the loudest problem between two bodies touching each other is the voice that never speaks and the words that never get said. Too many men step into that sacred space like it's a performance, not a connection, like it's something that just happens automatically, like bodies supposed to understand each other without communication. But silence, when it comes from fear or ego, becomes a prison where love can't breathe. See, a woman ain't a mind reader, she ain't a psychic, and she ain't supposed to decode emotions like some encrypted message. When we stay silent, when we don't ask, when we don't express, when we don't check in, we leave her guessing, does he care? Does he see me? Does he feel me? Or is he just here for his own moment? And that silence becomes louder than any noise in the room. People think conversation ruins the mood, but real talk actually builds trust, opens the mind, and unlocks the heart. Communication ain't a weakness. It's intimacy's greatest power. Think about it. Two people lying together, but they ain't truly together if their thoughts are miles apart. She may be thinking, I wish he would ask what I like. I wish he could tell me what he wants. I wish he didn't treat this like a routine. And a man might be thinking, she should know I care. I don't want to say something to ruin it. Talking feels weird. So both stay silent, both misunderstood, and yet both want the same thing, connection. They're tragedy. That's the truth. Women hate when men don't communicate because it makes them feel like they're just participating, not sharing. It makes the moment feel like a task instead of a union. Real intimacy is two souls meeting, not two bodies rubbing. Real intimacy is, does this feel good? Do you like it slower? Do you want me closer? Do you want me closer, deeper? Real intimacy is being brave enough to speak, bold enough to listen, and humble enough to learn. Some men avoid communication because they fear judgment. They think asking means they don't know what they do. They think learning means losing masculinity, but that's backwards. The real king isn't the one who assumes he knows everything, but the one who never stops learning the art of knowing her. There's no such thing as expert mode in intimacy. There's only curiosity. Love grows where questions live. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two couples. One lies together in silence. He rushes through it. She forces a smile after, and both turn away pretending to sleep. They think this is normal. Second couple, he pauses, keeps eye contact, asks softly, tell me what you like. I want to learn who you are. She opens up. She's honest. She feels safe. She feels value. And suddenly their souls become teammates. Same bed, completely different world. Communication builds trust, and trust builds pleasure. Most women ain't looking for perfection. They looking for effort. They don't want a silent warrior. They want an honest partner. When you talk, when you ask, when you share, you're saying, I'm here for us, not just me. And that's what makes her heart open, not just her body. So speak, ask, listen, repeat. Let communication be the rhythm, not the interruption. Because silence might keep the room calm, but truth keeps the love alive. There's a moment where touch becomes language, where hands speak louder than mouths, where every movement says either I care about you or I only care about me. And one thing that breaks a woman's spirit faster than anything is when a man moves too fast, rushing like time is running out, like pleasure has a finish line only he can see. She hates when a man treats her body like a racetrack instead of a temple. When he forgets that intimacy is poetry, not a countdown. A woman desires to be explored, not conquered, felt, not rushed through, understood, not handled like a checklist. Some men move fast because they're nervous, some because they're selfish, and some because they think that speed equals passion. But real passion isn't fast. Real passion is detailed, steady, present. It's slow enough to feel the breath change, slow enough to sense the heartbeat rise, slow enough to recognize what moment is sacred and what touch unlocks the soul. Too many men act like they already know the route, but every woman has her own map, her own rhythm, her own hidden doors that need patience before they open. Rushing isn't confidence, it's fear disguised as control. Imagine receiving a gift you truly loved, but instead of admiring it, someone rips it open, tosses the wrapping aside, and never pauses to appreciate what's inside. That's how rushing feels. Unvalued, uncelebrated, unseen. Women want to feel like the moment matters, like the journey counts, like their pleasure isn't an afterthought. Intimacy is not fast food. It's a slow-cooked meal meant to be savored. When a man slows down, he becomes aware. He notices how she breathes, how she reacts, what softens her and what strengthens her. He begins to understand that pleasure isn't about movement, but alignment. Emotional, mental, and physical. Women aren't just bodies, they're emotional universes. Their minds need to trust before their bodies surrender. Their hearts need to feel safe before their bodies feel pleasure. When a man rushes, she feels like she's being used, not cherished. The reason, let me share something real. Psychologists say that women build arousal primarily through emotional connection and gradual stimulation, while many men ignite faster physically. That difference ain't a problem. It's an opportunity, a chance to learn each other's language, not force one rhythm on both. A great partner knows how to adjust, not dominate. He pays attention not because he's weak, but because he honors the experience. Picture a scene with two different energies. One man grabs, hurries, tries to achieve something, forgetting the beauty of anticipation. forgetting the magic of eye contact, touch, laughter, whispers, pauses, and breath. The other takes his time. He explores her hair, her back, her hands, her energy. He notices how the body speaks without words. He lets the moment unfold instead of pulling it open. She doesn't need instructions. She feels safe automatically. And pleasure becomes a shared creation, not a forced demand. When you slow down, you're not wasting time. You're investing in forever. Rushing is like skipping pages of a book and still expecting to feel the ending. Slowing down is reading every line, every emotion, every silent chapter until you know her soul as much as her skin. Women hate being rushed because it steals their voice, ignores their timing, and turns something sacred into something mechanical. But when you slow down, when you honor the pace of her heart, you don't just touch her body, you touch her life. There's a deep pain that most women never say out loud, but it lives inside them like a quiet bruise. The pain of a man who never listens, not even in the most intimate moments. A woman hates when a man thinks he already knows what she wants. When he never asks, never checks, never pays attention to her reactions. Like her body is supposed to adapt to whatever he decides. She hates when he treats silence like agreement instead of absence. When he thinks his confidence makes guidance unnecessary. Every woman wants to be understood, and understanding begins with listening, not assuming. Intimacy is supposed to be a language spoken by two people, not a monologue delivered by one. When a man ignores her cues, verbal or silent, she doesn't just feel disappointed, she feels invisible. And invisibility wounds deeper than rejection because it tells her, you're here, but you don't matter. Listening isn't just hearing, it's paying attention to emotion, rhythm, breath, and change. Real listening happens with eyes, hands, heart, and patience. Many women admit privately that they've been with men who never once asked, do you like this? Does this feel good? Do you want more or less? They just assume. Some assume because of ego, some because of pride, and some because they were never taught that intimacy is teamwork, not performance. A woman shouldn't have to pretend, shouldn't have to fake enjoyment, shouldn't have to applaud something that didn't resonate with her soul. Too many relationships fail because people are scared to communicate. But communication is the doorway to unforgettable intimacy. A study once revealed that the majority of women who felt unsatisfied didn't blame their partner's physical ability, they blamed the lack of emotional and sensory awareness. They said they wanted someone who listens, who notices, who tries, who asks, who adapts. They wanted a teammate, not an actress performing for applause. Real connection isn't about perfection, it's about adjustment. A man who listens becomes unforgettable because he learns her, not just uses her. Imagine someone trying to dance with a partner while refusing to match rhythm, stepping wherever they want, moving however they choose, expecting beauty to appear by accident. That's how intimacy feels without listening. Uncoordinated, unbalanced, disconnected. But when listening becomes part of the moment, it turns into a perfect dance where both can breathe and trust. A woman's body is honest. It speaks through sound, stillness, arching, relaxing, grasping, slowing, guiding, even silence. Every reaction is a sentence. Every breath is feedback. Every movement is a hint. When a man ignores those signals, he's not just missing information, he's missing the entire truth. Listening makes intimacy a journey instead of a destination. It turns moments into memories and connection into chemistry. Picture a couple where neither of them is afraid to speak. When she says slower, he adjusts. When she says, I like that, he continues with passion. When she whispers more, he gives with intention. They're not just touching, they're collaborating. They're not just doing something, they're creating something. That kind of intimacy becomes addictive, unforgettable, healing, spiritual even. Listening is an act of love, presence, and maturity. It requires a man to set aside ego and replace it with curiosity. Curiosity to learn her world, her preferences, her rhythm, her emotional temperature. A woman hates when a man never listens because listening is what tells her she matters. When a man stops assuming and starts observing, stops guessing and starts communicating, stops performing and starts connecting, that's when she doesn't just feel touched, she feels valued. One thing that breaks a woman's spirit faster than anything is when a man turns intimacy into a selfish race instead of a shared experience. She hates when a man rushes, hurries, or tries to reach the finish line like he's trying to win some invisible trophy nobody cares about. Intimacy is not a contest, not a stopwatch event, not a competition to prove how fast someone can climax. It is a slow burn, a rhythm, a connection crafted through patience, attention, and intention. When a man treats her like a sprint, he accidentally tells her, "My pleasure matters more than your journey," and that message scars deeper than he realizes. Too many men grow up learning speed but never learning pacing. They chase excitement instead of building emotion. They rush into moments as if they fear feeling too much, like taking their time might expose vulnerability or reveal insecurity. But the truth is, slowness is strength. Only a confident man can slow down because he knows he has nothing to prove. A desperate man rushes. A mature man masters timing. A woman's heart, body, and mind are wired for sensual buildup. She wants to feel wanted, valued, studied, adored, not rushed through like a commercial break. She wants anticipation that melts her thoughts into feeling. She wants a man who treats every moment like art, not an urgent task. Slowness builds intimacy the way simmering heat builds flavor. If you rush the recipe, you ruin the taste. There are women who have shared stories like wounds, stories where a man finished quickly and rolled over like the moment had no emotional aftermath. Stories where she lay silently asking herself, why was I even there? Am I not worth the time? Does he even care how I feel? And silence like that becomes a quiet funeral for connection. Because when a man doesn't honor time, she slowly disconnects. Even if she doesn't say a word. Studies show that emotional and physical satisfaction rises dramatically when foreplay, patience, and paced intimacy are prioritized. Meaning, it's not about how long the act lasts, but how meaningful the journey feels. A woman hates selfish timing not because she needs perfection, but because she needs presence. Rushing feels like neglect disguised as passion. She wants him not just to be there, but to stay there. Mentally, emotionally, and physically. Imagine two people where time is not counted but tasted, where every second lingers like sweet smoke drifting under moonlight, where he traces her thoughts as slowly as he traces her skin, where she breathes deeper because she feels secure, not pressured. That's how souls connect, slowly, intentionally. Intimacy should feel like exploring a universe, not driving through a fast food window. When a man slows down, he gives her permission to open emotionally and physically without fear. When he is patient, she feels safe. When he listens to her breathing, her heartbeat, her whispers, her energy, he creates a moment that stretches far beyond the bedroom. Because intimacy isn't remembered by how it ends, it's remembered by how it felt. A man who learns pacing becomes unforgettable because he doesn't rush through her like a road trip destination. He explores her like a museum of secrets, longing, and delicate wonders. And when he takes his time, she doesn't just enjoy the moment, she melts into it, trusts it, and returns to it willingly, lovingly, and endlessly. Another silent deal breaker that women carry heavy in their hearts is when a man refuses to communicate, not just in words, but through energy, honesty, and emotional presence. She hates when the bedroom becomes a place of physical exchange while the emotional atmosphere remains cold, silent, confusing, or disconnected. Intimacy without communication feels like trying to dance to music with no rhythm, no beat, no melody. You move, but you don't feel. So many men think intimacy is only about what the body does. But the truth is, the mind runs the body and the heart runs the experience. A woman wants to know what you feel, what you like, what you don't, what you dream of, what scares you, what you crave, what you're thinking while you're holding her. She wants to hear desire, not just see it. She wants clarity, not assumptions. She wants involvement, not guessing. When a man stays silent, barely speaks, barely reacts, barely guides, barely listens, it makes her feel like she's performing instead of connecting. Silence in the bedroom can make her feel like she is replaceable, like anybody could be there and it would make no difference. She needs verbal warmth, not performance scripts, not fake moans, not forced compliments, but real, authentic, genuine communication. It could be as simple as, does this feel good? Or tell me what you want, or I love how you respond to me. When communication is present, intimacy becomes art. When it's absent, it becomes awkward, dry, repetitive, and emotionally lonely. Many women confess they get turned off not because of physical mistakes, but because they feel they are making love alone in their mind. Studies show that women reach deeper emotional and physical satisfaction when communication is active, supportive, and reciprocal. It's not about talking too much, it's about talking enough to maintain connection. Intimacy is not supposed to be silent like a library. It should breathe like poetry and whisper like a secret meant only for two. Communication also means feedback, not ego-driven criticism, but shared discovery. She wants a man who is willing to ask and learn, not assume and repeat. A man who communicates becomes a partner, not a performer. A woman feels safest when she knows she is understood, not just touched. She wants to know that her reactions matter, that her preferences shape the experience, not get ignored. Imagine two people locked in a moment where words are soft, breaths are honest, and emotions move like slow waves. Where she can whisper what she needs without fear of judgment and he can guide without force. Where communication doesn't break the mood but creates it. That's when intimacy rises from physical motion to sacred exchange. A man who doesn't communicate makes the moment feel mechanical, like he's following steps instead of feeling energy. A man who communicates transforms the experience into connection. Women don't want perfect men. They want men who care enough to ask, listen, and respond. A woman hates silence not because she needs noise, but because she needs connection. When a communication flows, insecurity fades. When communication is real, intimacy becomes unforgettable. A man can impress her body with skill, but he only imprints her soul with communication. That's the difference between someone she remembers for a moment and someone she remembers for a lifetime. Another thing that cuts a woman deep, something she might never say out loud, is when a man only focuses on himself and forgets that intimacy is a shared experience, not a race he's trying to win alone. She hates when a man treats the moment like it's all about his pleasure, his rhythm, his needs, his satisfaction, his climax, his ego, and his checklist, without slowing down to feel what's happening inside her mind, her body, and her soul. A selfish lover isn't just disappointing. He becomes unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. A woman wants passion, not possession. She wants synergy, not domination without care. She wants to feel like she matters in that moment, that she is not just there to satisfy him, but that they are building something together. Intimacy is a dance, not a sprint. But some men forget this, acting as if pleasure is a one-way transaction instead of a connection that binds two spirits, two energies, two nervous systems, moving like music designed only for them. She hates is when he rushes, when he's careless, when he doesn't even look at her to see if she's enjoying it or just enduring it. She hates when he takes control but doesn't take responsibility for her experience. She hates when he doesn't show patience, curiosity, or empathy. She hates when he doesn't care to learn her preferences, her rhythm, her sensitivities, or the emotional signals her body sends. A woman can forgive lack of skill, but she struggles to forgive lack of effort. A selfish lover forgets foreplay, forgets warmth, forgets emotional stimulation, forgets the slow burn that unlocks her deepest softness. Studies show that most women require emotional buildup, mental connection, and physical warm-up to experience full satisfaction, yet many men ignore the journey and only chase the finish line. To a woman, that is not intimacy, that is abandonment disguised as closeness. She hates when he gives up the moment he's done, like she was only useful until his need was met. She hates when he rolls over, checks his phone, or goes silent immediately after, because without words, she hears a message louder than speech. You are a tool, not a partner. That moment can crush confidence, weaken trust, and create emotional distance that can last far beyond the bedroom. A man who only thinks of himself destroys connection without even realizing it. But a man who understands her rhythm becomes unforgettable because he recognizes that pleasure is not just physical. It's psychological, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. She wants someone who explores, not someone who uses. Someone who realizes that her pleasure is not optional. It is essential. The moment becomes powerful not when he seeks to conquer her, but when he seeks to honor her. When he learns her breathing patterns, when he studies her reactions, when he adjusts his movement based on how she responds, when he values her climax as much as or even more than his own. Nothing makes a woman feel more desired than a man who wants to please her, not just have her. Selfish love leaves scars. Intentional love leaves memories. She will never forget the man who made her feel cherished, valued, and deeply satisfied. And she will never forgive the man who made her feel invisible while being that close to her body. If intimacy is the closest two humans can get, why treat it like a battle instead of a blessing? So when it all comes down to it, intimacy ain't about the moves, the positions, the speed, or the height the world talks about. It's about respect, presence, and connection. It's about understanding that every touch speaks, every breath communicates, and every moment sets a tone that the heart remembers long after the body forgets. If a man wants to be unforgettable in that sacred space, he must treat it like something holy, not something casual. Women don't hate because they're hard to please. They hate because too many men stop caring enough to try. In the end, the men who win aren't the ones with skill, size, or stamina. It's the ones who listen, who pay attention, who slow down, who lead with empathy, who take pride in creating pleasure, not controlling it. Because that's the difference between being a moment and being a memory. And any man who steps into that space should remember this. A woman may forgive your mistakes, but she will never forget how you made her feel. Not once, not ever.